Hi folks. Sorry it's taken me as long as it has to get you your second lesson, but I've been dealing with a camera that I need to replace and get one that will allow me to video as long as I need to. So I'm going to go really fast on this. I'm going to show you 3 strokes: a walking stroke, a chip stroke, and a pat stroke. And I'm doing this on a dry piece of paper. So I'm going to try to keep this where you can see it. I'm going to spritz my palette, which I cleaned since last time. You clean them by using a wet paper towel, getting the dirt, and using a razor blade to scrape up any old paint that you don't want. So I'm just wet my palette, and I'm going to go into the alizarin crimson, which is a staining color. It's transparent, and staining means just that. You hopefully know where you want to put it, because it's going to stay there. It's going to stain your paper. So this is a walking stroke. I'm just walking my brush, the edge of my brush, my chisel, which is, where is it? There it is. I'm using the very end of the chisel. You see? Sorry for the shadow. I'm going to solve all these problems. So I'm walking. There's a walking stroke. Then I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to do a flip stroke. And it's just like it sounds. Take the edge of the brush again, the chisel tip, and just flip. Grass. See that? Just the edge of the brush. And lift it, push it up. And then the last stroke on this side is going to be a pat stroke. I take my brush, not too wet, and just pat it. Pat it in different directions. See that? Excuse my sniffles, I got allergies or something. So that's a pat stroke, and I'm just laying the brush down just like that. Flat on its side. Good for foliage. See there? We got just a tree, some grass, and leaves on the tree with 3 different strokes. Now this one's, I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to do famous wet and wet, right? So I'm going to wet this as fast as I can, the piece of paper. You can use both sides of the paper, even though there is a supposed right side and wrong side. I've never noticed that it matters. There's a watermark down in the corner, and that, when you're reading that, that's the front of the paper. Right, so that's wet. I don't know if you can see that. Can you tell that that's wet? I don't think so. Yes, you can. You see the shine on there? That's water. And so the paper's wet, and I'm going to go in and get some alizarin crimson, and my brush is going to be wet. And I'm going to come back, and I'm going to paint into the wet. See? See how soft that makes that look and how it spreads? Makes it interesting. Now I'm gonna wash that, most of that red out, and I'm gonna come back into the cadmium orange, which is opaque and non-staining. Opaque meaning you can't see through it really good. See there, it covers the red a little bit. And that's still wet into wet. I'm going to do the flip stroke wet into wet. It doesn't work as good as it does on the dry when it's dry. In fact, it doesn't delineate it at all. So here's a little plastic fork. Let's see what it'll do. Same thing, only I get more marks. And I'm going to make another heart on the inside of that. You know what? I almost might be done before my camera shuts off. Let me see, I can just... do another heart and see if I can pick that up any better. Here's a old credit card that I cut in half and I've used it forever. So there you have wet into wet. I went back in and scraped and let the pigment settle where I scraped, and on the other side we did walking stroke, pat stroke, and a chip stroke, and that's it for today. Have fun.